you've given Democratic members the option to skip the event if they want to. For those who choose to attend, how would you like to see them behave?
Well, listen, it's my expectation that members who choose to attend will be there in silent defiance, of course, skeptical of the remarks that the president is going to try to deliver in terms of his spin.
Silent defiance, skeptical of his remarks, the spin. That's Hakeem the Jihadi. Jeff, he was holding an AK-47 and wearing a suicide vest when he made those remarks. If he were Speaker of the House, we'd be a communist hellhole by now. Well, welcome back, and a happy Tuesday to you once again. Those rascally Democrats, they're just disagreeable, aren't they? They have no intention of ever getting along with anyone ever again. Not a single one of them. These people. Not on Team America, not on Team America at all. Did you see the Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, talking to black people at a book party or something in Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta area, largely black audience. And he said, I'm like you. I scored poorly on my SATs. I only got a 960. I was told yesterday that's average on the SAT. But the average for black people taking the SAT is 906. But Gavin Newsom wanted to draw attention to that, and he said, and besides, I can't read. I can't read. I'm like you. He says, I can't read.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you.
Yeah, we knew that. Yeah.
I'm a 960 SAT guy.
He's no better than you.
And, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech.
Because I turned the channel is the reason for that, I think. Isn't that amazing? This is him running his presidential campaign. Hey, black voters, I'm like you. I can't read. And then he claimed suddenly after 35 years in public life, he revealed that allegedly that he has dyslexia, that he's got dyslexia. That just came out of nowhere. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I'm an SAT. I got a 960. Like, if you got that's not 940. That's average black person gets 906, but that's okay. Never seen me read a speech because, I can't read. He's trying. This is sucking up. And why is it the Democrats' view? And I got this is a real and a serious question. The Democrats view voters through the lens of race and color and ethnicity and sexual orientation and not just as voters, as taxpayers, as Americans, but as you're black. That makes you different from this guy who's Latinx, as Joe Biden would say, Latinx. And that means you're not white. And therefore, your ancestors are better than his ancestors. Because his ancestors, they assume all white people owned slaves when really it was just Democrats and their descendants who are slave owners. But isn't that amazing? And then, Newsom and these ridiculous stories. Newsom then went into his personal background, living with dyslexia, a learning disability that impacts how an individual processes written words when trying to read. But how is it we've never heard about this in all these years? And he had one little gaffe. Oh, well, that's because I'm dyslexic. Really? Sure. Maybe you have Tay-Sachs disease, or maybe it's honestly, you people are just ridiculous. But they view these people over here are Latinx, and they're gonna promise all this stuff to Latinx, and then there are black people over here. We're going to promise different things to these black people over here because, Latinx want this free stuff, and then the blacks, they want this free stuff. And he's got dyslexia, and that's why he scored better than you on the SAT. And honestly, these people are just disgraceful. And it is all of these things are the definition of racism. Yes, sir. Yeah. He's, I got reports from the doctors. He said, I got reports from the doctors. Yeah. They should scan your brain, look for normal brainwave activity and see how that's working out. Yes, sir. I was going after school 3 days a week. I didn't know what it was for. Mom was furious. Has quote unquote dyslexia. Yeah. He's making all this up. I don't believe a word of that. How is it that this never came up in a political career for decades and decades until he had a little gaffe, little thing. I got to say, the Nicki Minaj thing was pretty funny. She's not always funny, but she was funny, making fun of Gavin Newsom for his ridiculous claims to a black audience. I'm not trying to offend anyone. Acting like if you're all got 940, I got to tell you. His way of bonding, and this is great, Nicki Minaj said of Gavin Newsom, his way of bonding with black people is to tell them how stupid he is and that he can't read. This means my first read on him was correct. He's been handed so many things and put in high positions he never earned or deserved, Nicki Minaj wrote on a post on X. I still like to call it Twitter. But isn't that great? Yeah, and isn't that the Democrat Party? They're just ridiculous. And Nicki Minaj said, do you want to know the craziest part of this footage, the video of him saying this crazy stuff, that will haunt him forever? He's literally slowing his speech down and talking in a sporadic cadence. He's not just telling them that they're all probably stupid and probably can't read. He's literally slowing down his speech to make them understand the words that are coming out of his mouth.
I'm like you.
As if they're children, Nicki Minaj said. Isn't that great? That's pretty funny. And she notices. She's no dope. Great stuff. So then Senator Tim Scott, because this is kind of fun too. Senator Tim Scott jumped in. He's black. He's Republican. Said, black Americans aren't your low bar. We've built empires, created movements, outworked, out-hustled, and outsmarted people like you. Stop using your mediocre academics as a way to patronize communities. It's ridiculous. The South Carolina senator wrote in a post on X. Isn't that great? And that's good. He should take all the heat in the world on this. Just, Gavin Newsom thinks that 960 SAT makes him like black Americans. Let that sink in. Yes, sir. Your Democrat Party. And then Gavin Newsom, he got angry and he lashed out. And listen to this. Listen to this mental illness. You didn't give a beep about the President of the United States of America posting an ape video of President Obama or calling African nations beep holes. Have you noticed that all the Democrats curse publicly and everything they do now, the S word and the F word and the MF word, and then it just goes on and on and on. But they curse constantly now as though they're not in public. Newsom shot back writing, you didn't give a beep about the President of the United States of America posting an ape video of President Obama. You know what I'm talking about here. It's this video talking about stealing the election. And then somebody dropped in a 1-second clip at the very end of the lengthy video that somebody doctored a photo and put Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, Big Mike, in chimpanzee suits, and people keep calling them monkey suits. Chimps are in the great ape family and not in the monkey family, as any school child knows. And they're apes. You should call them chimps, but never mind that. But here he is. He's lashing out and he's angry and he's got to curse up a storm because he really cares. And he's got dyslexia. So, so you didn't give a beep about the President of the United States posting an ape video of President Obama or calling African nations beep holes. Most African nations are beep holes. That's why they're known that way. But you're going to call me a racist for talking about my lifelong struggle with dyslexia. See, now he's a victim. And now you can't be critical of him because he has a medical condition that has nothing to do with anything, but, you know.
You've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read. Slow it
down there, because my lifelong struggle with dyslexia that nobody's ever heard about before. So there's his, now he's outraged because he's a victim, because he has a medical condition, and just because he said all these idiotic things, it's because he has dyslexia, don't you know? Democrats. They've all got this problem. And the whole cross-dressing and sexual orientation problem. They've got a lot of issues. And they come from long lines of racists because that's who they are. All right. The State of the Union tonight, what should the president talk about? He should take credit for his many accomplishments, securing the border as he promised to do, taking inflation, which was 9.1% under just the previous administration of Joseph Robinette Biden, and that was all okay with Democrats. So like, these things happen, it's no big. And bring it down to, what are we at, 2.3% inflation now? The Dow Jones Industrial Averages broke 50,000 for the first time in human history. Isn't that great? Gasoline prices, lowest in about 5 years, because the Democrats announced that it's their goal to make gasoline more expensive because they don't care, because they're taking other people's money all over the place. But gas prices at a 5-year, remember what Barack Obama said when he became president, that which he then amazingly did, that he would deliberately make electricity costs higher than ever, because your grandma, she can decide between electricity in January or macaroni and cheese.
Under my plan of a cap and trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
Good idea. And that was the Democrat Party plan. Electricity rates would skyrocket. Gasoline prices would skyrocket. So all energy, and natural gas too, and all energy would, the price would skyrocket, make it more expensive for everybody. That's what he promised. President Trump, lowest gas prices, and he wants them lower. Democrats, 9.1% inflation. Trump, 2.4%. I think I said 2.3%. It's 2.4% now. Again, the Dow Jones Industrials, if you have a 401k and a retirement plan of any kind, Dow Jones hits 50,000 for the first time ever. Just amazing stuff. The 2017 tax cuts for all of us across America, that's great. And President Trump made them permanent until the Democrats come back and increase everybody's taxes while lying to you about it. Also, President Trump created the Trump accounts, $1,000 for newborns, courtesy of the taxpayers, that are invested in, they're invested. And your family is going to love it. Your kids are going to grow up to have money. And the Democrats, dozens of them now, are boycotting the State of the Union tonight because, of their mental problems. So, and they've got this counter event. They've got at least 2, maybe 3 Democrat responses. One is in Spanish, not even in English. Uga laka kalaka laka. These people, boy, are they not on our side. And I've got more coming up on the State of the Union as well. Rural Americans deserve access to the very best of what our great nation has to offer every day, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every hamlet in America, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, our neighbors, and the people that we love. No matter where you live, hospitals, they don't clock out. They're there 24/7 every day. 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Emergency care, delivering babies, treating cancer, and saving lives, other life-saving care, patients rely on, and we expect as Americans, and rightly so. Behind every one of those patients, there are, of course, doctors and nurses and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They're first line of defense. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. And right now, there are some in Congress that are threatening that access to health care. Tell Congress to protect patient care and keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care. Paid for by the Coalition to Strengthen America's Health Care. Yes, sir. Yeah, so the Democrats, another reason to have a mental meltdown, as though they needed another reason. And Democrats, I'm dumb. I have dyslexia. I can't read anything. I never read speeches. I did poorly on the SATs 50 years ago. I'm just like you. But I'm not a racist like you.
I'm like you.
An alleged musician by the name of Flavor Flav. You know Flavor Flav? Remember him? He's from the 70s or something. Flavor Flav invites U.S. women's hockey team to Las Vegas for Olympic celebration after Trump snub. Isn't he like a sexual predator? And he have a history of being abusive to women? The Flavor Flav. But there's no evidence that they've accepted the invitation. But he's a hip-hop artist, and he's Flavor Flav. Threw a party in Vegas for the U.S. women's hockey team, the Olympic team, after winning gold against Canada in the Milan Cortina Games, right? And it appears he's doing so after seeing President Trump's invitation to the team for the State of the Union address on Tuesday night, which the team declined, as they cited previously scheduled academic and professional commitments. Sure. Flavor Flav, whose real name is Karen Johnson. Well, that's not true. That's actually Whoopi Goldberg. But whose real name is William Jonathan Drayton Jr., so insulting his father, going by Flavor Flav, shared the formal invitation that he sent to USA Hockey. I don't think you should invite him. I think you should accept the invitation, rather. That doesn't sound like the right thing to do. I'm reaching out on behalf of Flavor Flav. Really? Sure. Yeah. There it is. Ridiculous. Formal invitation sent to the women's hockey team, Flavor Flav. I think that we could probably guess what is the underpinning of all of this. Just a guess. I don't have any inside information. All right, there's more coming up. Tonight is the State of the Union. President of the United States and the Democrats, they're going to have a riot. Yeah, Flavor Flav, he's inviting the women's hockey team to Las Vegas. I just took a quick look, and in 2012, Flavor Flav was arrested for assault and battery on his fiancée of 8 years. Does he have a long history of that sort of thing? But I don't know. Flavy Flav, who's 5'6" tall, weighs 131 pounds. Sure. Grabbed 2 knives from the kitchen and chased his fiance's son. Sure. Around the living room, threatening to kill him because he's Flavor Flav. And, you know, probably I think it's got something to do with slavery. I'm not sure, but it could be something like that. Here's something I want to share with you, though, because this is good. This is fun. The men's USA hockey team that won the gold, and Canada did not win the gold. They won the silver, and you've never seen such a disappointed bunch of silver medal winners in the Olympics in your life, but boy, did they look disappointed. I actually felt for them after a little while, but then I got back to laughing because, you know, you should be happy you won the silver medal in the Olympics, but they were very, very unhappy. Now, here's the story. Team USA were flown in, the American hockey team. Flown. Nobody knows where the Canadians were flown. Maybe Greenland. Maybe they went to Greenland or something like that. But the Team USA, they went to Miami. And last night they went out to a nightclub. If you can imagine this, the whole team, they're hanging out with each other. They've got T-shirts or jerseys on. They've got their gold medals hanging around their necks, right? The whole team. And they're going out as a team because it's Team USA. And the Democrats are not on Team USA. So the Team USA men's hockey stars reveled in their gold medal win on Monday night, last night, celebrating across Miami and ending the party at the famous nightclub E11 Even. E11 Even is the name of the nightclub. Just E11, I think, would be better, but E11 Even? Why even? 11 Even. It's 11 Even. Yeah, you probably just call it 11, right? Because it's E11 Even. Well, okay. It's for illiterate people, perhaps. But Team USA, they're out and about and having a good time. Then they ended up at a nightclub that's apparently a hot spot in Miami at the moment. And the entire team spotted, and they were on a double-decker bus tour driving through South Beach neighborhood, made famous by Tony Montana in Scarface and beyond. So the team had dinner at an upscale restaurant, then took their talents to E11. And the team, it says here that they had drinks flowing and songs blasting through the club speakers, as you might expect. And you got to see these guys. They're smoking cigars. Most of them, it doesn't even look like they're drinking a lot, but they're hockey players. They can drink. It's a Canadian game. But these guys, they're having a good time. They've obviously perhaps had a couple of drinks, but they got Brock Faber and Matthew Tkachuk and T.J. Miller, and they're all out there and they're having a good time. And you'll never guess what happened. What happened then? Because I'm thinking there are a lot of not Democrats on this hockey team, the USA hockey team. It seems that way because they're hanging out. And according to this Fox News story, they say there were more than 2,000 people waiting to get into the nightclub. And the team was spotted drinking vodka, champagne, tequila, and beer through the night. And they apparently, listen to this now, this is crazy. The players reportedly enjoyed more than $150,000 in champagne. $150,000 in champagne. How many guys are there? They probably don't even drink champagne. And helped get the fans around them to fill their fill of the bubbly. So they've got, a couple thousand people waiting outside, and they're just ordering more and more champagne. And they're getting, hey, there's a crowd outside. Let's get them some champagne because they're Americans and they're having a good time and they're celebrating. $150,000. That could be, if you're getting crazy champagne, that could be only 10 bottles at $15,000 a bottle or something. But never mind that. The goaltender, who's just a riot, Connor Hellebuck, and he grabbed the microphone and asked the club goers to give the teammates a round of applause, and then led a USA chant. But listen, it got better because somebody suggested, hey, wait a minute, I've got an idea. Maybe we should do, what should we do? First gold medal in U.S. Olympic hockey since 1980. And I said, I've got an idea. We're here at this big club. There are thousands of people. We're having a riot. We're going from place to place, big bar crawl in Miami. And then it went like this. High notes. Big note, big note.
USA! 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 USA!
These guys are. There was the big the steam smoke machines, disco smoke machines blasting at the end all over the place, and the crowd was going wild, and everybody was having the time of their lives. These guys are having the time of their lives. They're professional hockey players because the Olympics aren't really amateur sports anymore. That's all water under the bridge. It used to just be the Soviet Union and the commies. Now it's everybody because you know how they are, aren't they? Aren't they amazing? But that's a great moment, and these guys are having the time of their lives. And now, if they wish, and I bet most of them wish, they're invited to Washington D.C. Probably don't have prior arrangements and academic obligations, but the amazing stuff. And Jack Hughes just great, and got teeth knocked out, one tooth knocked out completely, one tooth broken, and he made a joke. He's looking for when he was in Italy still. So I'm looking for him to get back to the United States, and we've got great dentistry there. He said we've got great dentistry there, which was pretty funny, I've got to say. Yes, sir. Yeah. And I love the fact that those guys are having the time of their life. Tonight, the State of the Union, I think it's going to run late. If it starts at 9 or 9:30, some are saying it may start at 9:30, and so we're going to be a particularly long State of the Union, which might mean an hour and a half, say 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock, sleepy time for a lot of people, but these guys might have to find some place on Capitol Hill to go party afterward. I think maybe Bull Feathers. If I were taking them, I might bring them to Bull Feathers, but we'll have to see. I'd give them a call, let them know that we were coming. Whereas Democrats, on the other hand, they got a lot of boycotts going on. They've got alternative cross-dressing events that they're having, and well, let's go to soundbite number 20 because they just mentioned that President Trump said the speech might be long, and when I said that the president said the speech might be long, I wasn't lying.
We have a country that's now doing well. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. We have the most activity we've ever had. I'm making a speech tomorrow night, and you'll be hearing me say that. I mean, it's going to be a long speech because we have so much to talk about.
We've got so much to talk about. It's going to be a long speech. Going to have to do a lot of Yes, sir. Yep. Yep. Now, we've got all kinds of, I don't even know if I shared this with, but another British official has been arrested having to do with Jeffrey Epstein, right? And it's actually the former British ambassador to the United States. He must have been hanging out with Democrats. Former British ambassador to the U.S. released on bail after arrest in Epstein investigation. Police arrested Peter Mandelson. Peter Mandelson, amid the intensifying scandal over the emails that appear to show him leaking sensitive political and market information to the convicted sex offender. NBC News writes, not a child molester, because that's, remember what the New York Times said about this. Pedophilia, a disorder, not a crime. Not a crime, that's what the New York Times said. But British police said the country's former ambassador to the United States had been released on bail after having been arrested following weeks of revelations over his relationship with the late convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. Peter Mandelson was detained on Monday, yesterday, amid an intensifying scandal after the Justice Department released millions of Epstein-related documents. Wait a minute. I saw on MSNBC that they hadn't released anything. I heard a liberal on Newsmax say they hadn't released anything. But here's NBC fake news. Intensifying scandal after the Justice Department released millions of Epstein-related documents, some of which appear to show him leaking sensitive political and market information about the financier. Video on Sky News. That's the European British Fox News equivalent, right? Video on Sky News showed Mendelson, now 72 years old, being led from his home in North London wearing a gray sweater and black coat. His attire is not really important to me, but that's what they did. So London's Metropolitan Police said in a news release that they would have an update on an investigation into misconduct in public office offenses relating to a former government minister. So we've got that going on. But there's another story that just popped a short time ago. Former Norwegian Prime Minister, not just a minister, but the former Norwegian Prime Minister and Nobel Committee Chair, whose name is Thorsten Jagland, admitted to hospital after alleged suicide attempt. Now, listen to this. This is the Norwegian. They just did great at the Olympics, too. And today, the former prime minister, who is also a member of the Nobel Prize Committee, Thorsten Jagland, admitted to hospital following an apparent suicide attempt after a corruption probe was charged with corruption linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Here's another one. The Norwegian prime minister, they're still not a they keep talking about Trump. And like the whole world is going to fall and Trump's going to be the last man standing with smoldering rubble all around him from this Jeffrey Epstein thing. And everybody's going to be a Democrat or a liberal or a Euro or whatever. And how did Jeffrey Epstein have all these relationships with the prince, the British royal family, the Norwegian prime minister? The list goes on and on and on. It's completely crazy. You've got that former British ambassador to the United States arrested yesterday. Prince Randy Andy arrested, I guess, last week now. The former Norwegian prime minister and Nobel Committee chair, the chairman of they don't say man because it's sexist. I'll say man. He's the chairman of the Nobel Committee, Thorsten Jagland, and now he attempted suicide because he's being investigated over his relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. Isn't that amazing? And according to this, at least, this guy, former Norwegian Prime Minister, Nobel Committee Chair Thorsten Jagland, the guy who got Barack Obama the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009, sure, chair of the Nobel Prize Committee from 2009 to 2015, and according to this, was a regular on Epstein Island. And he got Barack Hussein Obama the Nobel Peace Prize for nothing. Isn't that amazing? Man, oh man. All right, let's take another phone call. The news just keeps falling through the ceiling tiles because, of Al Gore and his amazing internet. All right, let's go to John calling from merry old Mexico, listening on the great WMAL app. Johnny, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. I'm listening
John.
to your show here while I'm sheltering in place.
Shelter in place because of all the violence and the killings and the burning cars and the cartel kingpin killed in a police raid. Crazy. How are things otherwise? Getting some nice margaritas and food?
Oh, it's very peaceful, 90 degrees every day down here.
Wow, 90 degrees every day. Where are you in Mexico?
Zihuatanejo, very small fishing village.
Cool. That sounds fun.
Zihuatanejo, yeah. Hey, I am hoping that the President of the United States points out the Democrats that are in absence this evening at the State of the Union and actually points out that to every American that they are the ones that voted against the tax cuts. What do you think about that?
I think that's an excellent idea. I think you need to draw the contrasts between yourself, President Trump, and Republican Party efforts versus Democrat Party efforts, all of which seem to be greedy, self-enriching, and corrupt. Am I right?
Yes, absence from the State of the Union, absence from voting for a tax cut for the American people, but all they talk about is affordability.
Right. And, affordability, they create these buzzwords, and then they just stick to them. They say them over and over again, even when they have no meaning. Isn't that true?
Absolutely.
When are you coming back to America?
March 7th.
Wow, okay. That's pretty good. Got a couple weeks left.
I'll continue to listen. I'll continue to listen to the app. It works pretty well down here.
Well, that's
Al Gore.
Yeah, Al Gore, and peace be upon him, and the patriarchy, of course.
Yes, sir.
We are very
Thanks
grateful.
for taking my call, Chris.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Thanks for checking in. And now back to your beautiful 90-degree sunny day at the beach in a fishing village. It's a fishing village. It's not. There's a beach around. You probably have to drive around the point, past the fishing village. Is that right?
We let the locals catch the fish, though. We just eat them. We don't go fishing.
That's a good policy. You wouldn't want to take away their jobs, That's the good stuff. John, thanks for calling in. Have a great, got a couple weeks left. Have a great vacation. Feel free to check in, when you're wrapping up. Anytime you see fun stuff, check in anytime. Thanks, John. Now, I got a fun text from my friend Natalie in Florida. And Natalie said, listening to the radio show there, and John was in Zihuatanejo in Mexico. And Natalie says, Zihuatanejo in Mexico, that's the city where at the end of the movie Shawshank Redemption, where Andy and Red meet up at the end of the Shawshank Redemption. They one escape and one that, and it's fun stuff. That's kind of fun. That's the whole world is listening. Isn't that great? Just great stuff. I love it. Well, tonight is the State of the Union, and we're going to have, I guess, the men's hockey team, the Olympic hockey team at the State of the Union, but not the women's hockey team, who very graciously declined an invitation from the president to come to the State of the Union in the White House. Always sounds political if, because everything's political, but we got that. And the president's speech tonight taking credit rightly for the many things that have been accomplished in the last 13 months, and then lay out what he has in mind for the next 3 years. The Democrats will be protesting and choking on their tongues and taking fentanyl and self-immolating.